We are live
What's up?
with ProPresenter Power Talks. Yo,
We are here.
ProPresenter Poppy in the
I
house.
am in the house. What about you, man? You're in the house too. Look at
Man,
you.
I stay in the
You
house. You know
stay in the
what?
house? Yeah.
Stay in the house.
All
Yeah.
all up in the house. We were just talking.
Yeah,
You enjoying the Olympics?
yeah, I love it.
Yep.
Every 4 years, it was crazy too. Yesterday, I was watching all these athletes, and I was like, man, these guys need to tighten up. And then I went out and got some Subway. Uh,
did you splurge and get the foot long? Because that would make it real bad if you're like, you need to
no,
tighten up
man,
and
no,
then
I'm an athlete. I had to do 6 inches. You know what I mean? You gotta stay on your. You gotta
I'm an athlete,
gotta
but
eat
I went
right.
to Subway. Something about that disparity there. They're an athlete; they need to shape
Well,
up. But you, fast
that
food,
was my
man,
that was my cheat meal.
you're cheating.
I get three a day.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, man, we're kicking off. I got some exciting news to share with everyone. So we're going to dive
Yeah.
into legality of stuff today. You were online this weekend and saw a couple people posting some questions on a forum that we're a part of about how to use the CCLI function of ProPresenter, and I kind of brought
Right.
up like just some legal questions. So we're going to dive into that a little
Yep.
bit. But exciting news today is that we have a sponsor who is
Look at
sponsoring the
us.
next 10 episodes. So our friends at Worship Probs are sponsoring today's edition of the ProPresenter Power Talks. And if you don't know about Worship Probs or Worship Karaoke, they exist to entertain, encourage, and equip worship leaders, production leaders, and worship team volunteers. So they create resources like the Worship Probs podcast, Worship Karaoke, in addition to hilarious memes in serving
Mm.
in worship production in your local church. So you can follow them at Instagram at the hashtag worship probs. Seeing the worship prob stuff on Instagram, it'll give you a good laugh a lot of times. Really awesome stuff, as well as equipping and entertaining stuff to help you out. So check them out. They're our sponsor for today's podcast, and you know it's kind of really good that they're the first one because if you're not legally set in your church, you could have some major problems. So worship
Yeah, yeah,
probs
yeah.
sponsoring the first episode, and we're going to talk about
That's right.
how to not
We
have
might have some legal
problems. Yeah, how to
probs.
not have some legal problems. So
Yeah.
thank you, Worship Probs. We're excited to have them be with us in the journey over the coming ProPresenter talks. So let's dive into. So, Sheik, what was the question you were
Yeah.
seeing that people were asking about?
Well, here, you know what? I was about to pull it up and then I didn't. So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. So the question is this, and this is from the ProPresenter users Facebook group. And the question is, how do I relocate the CCLI info from the final slide on the live stream lower thirds? I know it's imperative that it's on there, but I just don't want it to cover the lyrics.
Perfect, perfect.
And then there's kind of a secondary question in there. Can I have this area show on all three of my video output screens, audience, stage, and live stream?
Audience, Steve, and live stream. Yeah, perfect. So let's tackle the first part of that question. As we dive into that, that'll probably actually also give you some other insight as well. So, um, the first things first about that is the person was asking, how do I relocate my CCLI like layout? So there's a couple ways to access your CCLI information, and CCLI stands for Church Copyright Licensing Information. There are actually some new ways of doing that now. I was actually talking with my church previously over the weekend, and Multitracks is now offering some licensing ability as well through their stuff as well. But CCLI is if you have a CCLI account, you can use the CCLI information. So here's how you get to it in the show in the main window of ProPresenter. You'll have your normal show, edit, reflow, and Bible. But if you hit the more button, you will see the section where it says CCLI editor. When you click into that, that'll take you to how your CCLI content is going to be presented and displayed. So what you need to do is, so for the person who's asking this question, how do I make it not compete with my lyrics? For example, if I look here in the default, this would compete with a normal 2-line lyric set, such a situation.
Yeah.
So there's a couple ways to handle that. You can choose to come over to the text box and change how it's structured, put it more in the bottom lower third, and move it down here. And then that's what a lot of churches I've seen do, kind of shrink this, make it smaller so that it shows up, and then, maybe make it like that. And so then it's kind of just in the
Hmm.
bottom of your screen. And when you get to the end of your song, it would not be in competition with it. So that's the first thing I would
So
say is look at your layout.
so would that put all that information on one line?
Yeah, so what you can do is you can change how that is laid out, though. So that'll be the next thing we'll,
Hmm.
we'll cover here. So when you go to, you can go to your preferences, settings, general, and over here, you'll see the copyright section, and I'll dive into what all this is here. But first, let's go to your CCLI layout, and this is where you can put content on a second line or whatever you want to do. So if you want to
Hmm.
format this out, you can, and you can
Okay.
drag all your tokens there. So if you have, if you want to do artist and author, and then
Sure.
space it, you can do that as well. So all that'll be there, and then you can edit the template and do the same thing. So you'll notice that once I made that shift here to the layout, it changed it over here as well. So you see the publisher and
Oh
copyright
yeah. Right.
and the
Yeah.
copyright
Yeah.
year,
Sure.
that all changed. So then you notice that that starts to make it like larger. So most people that I've seen usually put it all in one line. Most of the situations I've seen, I don't think there's a real specific way. If someone knows more than me in this area, feel free to chime in the comments. But I don't think it's really how you present it that's going to be the issue. It's that it's presented. So I don't think it really matters if you choose to put it all on one line. It's not like you're going to get hit and like, well, you didn't have it formatted the specific way. As long as you show it, that's the goal. So
Okay.
um,
All right. So there's not formatting restrictions
I
per
don't know of
se.
any formatting restrictions. I could be wrong,
Okay.
but from my
Is
understanding,
is
it's
there is there minimum information that you need to include?
yeah. I would include minimally. I mean, the title of the song, the
Hmm.
artist, the publisher, and the copyright year, and then always
Okay.
have your CCLI number. So you'll see here it's blank right now because I cleared it out for us, but you get a number with CCLI. And I will say this: if you have a CCLI account and you're importing content from Song Select from CCLI, then that content will come with it inherently. And I'll show you that here in a sec how that could look. But if you have an account already, then your information will be populated already inherently into ProPresenter as it comes in. So
Okay.
that'll be shown there. So the CCLI license number is there. And then you saw the CCLI layout. That's where you can lay out what content you want to show, what format you want. And then you can also report from here. So you can also report to CCLI and check the automatic report usage. And that will automatically report whenever you schedule a song in ProPresenter to CCLI. So you can export
And
that.
is that so that the artists get credit or royalties or whatever?
Yeah, so every couple of years, if you don't automatically report, then every few years you'll get hit from CCLI with a request to go back and report on what you've done, or what you're doing in the coming 6 months, because they use churches'
Oh, interesting.
information to figure out what
Yeah.
what songs from artists are being played consistently, so they can determine
Sure.
payout structure for those artists. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
Um, so let's show one more thing. So in the settings menu, general, you'll see the enable copyright display. So you'll want to enable that. And then this next selection is key. So you can select it to be on the first slide of the song, on the
Hmm.
last slide of the song, on the first and last slide of the song, or on all slides of the songs. I like to do, and I've seen a lot. Kind of, I think is the standard is the last slide of the song. So when you select that now, that will be on the last slide of your song, which for me is always going to be a blank. that is when the CCLI information will
Okay.
show up. Um,
Oh, interesting. So then it's not competing with lyrics at all
yeah, so I do it on the last slide
on a
once
blank
we've
slide.
cleared lyrics. That way it's
Okay.
not competing with lyrics at all. So I never have that
Yeah.
issue. And it will only show up on the last slide of the song based on how I've set this up now. And my
Sure.
understanding is there is not a setting to segment that to specific screens. So it's going to show up across all of them, unless
Hmm.
you remove the slide. I think, that would be a question. I'd have to test it out. I think it shows up across all. I don't think it's considered a prop because it's a legal thing. That's something that I'm not super I haven't super
Confident.
dove into, so I should test that out
Yeah.
this week with my three screen setting that I use for one church. Um, so that's how you change the layout. The easiest way to do that is the CCLI editor right here. You can change the text. You can change it to a font that you guys, your church font.
Mm.
You can change it to whatever treatment of that font you would like. You can
Yeah.
change the size, change the color, change everything. So you can change that just as you would, and then you can format where you want that to be placed. So let's say you want yours to show
Oh,
up in
that's
the top
great.
right. You can do that here, over here. If you want it in the top left, you can do that here. If you want it in the bottom left, you can do that here. So however you want it to display, you can do that straight from in that setting in ProPresenter right there. And then, yep, go to the preferences tab, the settings tab, general, and that's where you can manipulate license information and where you
Hmm.
want and how you want that stuff to present. So one more thing. Now I'm going to show you a song that was imported with using the CCLI information, and so I'm going to go to this song. I believe I'm going to hit the editor, and what you'll notice is when you go into the editor of a song, over in the presentation section, there's a copyright information boxes. And this is where you can fill in. So if you're manually putting in a song, you can manually fill in the title, the artist, the authors, the album, publishing information, the year, the CCLI number. You'll notice here that really the main key things I think are the title, the author, the publisher, and the CCLI number. Really, those are the main things I see often filled out. And you usually don't have this many publishers, but we do. And then this tab is key because if you choose to deselect that, that will not show the copyright on screen for that song. So if you
Okay.
want to
Now is
show it
that per song?
per song, so um, it will automatically. I think it will automatically kind of revert to what you set as your like. So if I turn this off and I started to import a bunch of songs, it would be off. If I had it on, I think it would start to import defaulting to turning it on. But you will need to
Sure.
check it manually out for each song just to make sure.
Is there a reason why somebody would choose to not show it on screen?
Um, yeah, it's a legal question. So I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot of big churches. Some big churches show it, and some big churches don't. And so, like in
Hmm.
the church that I help with, we have CCLI information intact, but I don't show it on screen. And my thought is just that if someone has a question, I can get the CCLI information for them in the stream if we had to.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
um, legally, you're supposed to. I think technically supposed to show it. I have never had an issue with YouTube flagging us for not showing it. And I actually was reading
Hmm.
something recently that during COVID, a lot of the producers with church music stopped flagging people like on stuff on YouTube. They just let the streams roll. The issue is more
Hmm.
like if you are playing tracks that have been like that are like if your band is not playing and you're playing tracks, then you can get flagged and stuff. But the algorithm just kind of lets
Hmm.
churches that are streaming on Sunday roll. So I have CCLI information ready to go if needed, and then uh, that's what. But technically speaking, to probably be safest, you should show it. A lot of churches do,
Hmm.
but it's not across the board 50-50. So um, I'm in my estimation, I'm ready to pull it out if needed, and I'm not streaming to Facebook like blasting it everywhere. I'm just streaming it to like at the church that I'm helping with. They stream to their website, in YouTube. So
Okay. Okay.
it's not going into the Facebook world where I've seen a lot more. Facebook like gets pretty crazy with like the copyright information being there. So I think the technical speak is you should have it shown. If you don't show it, I would say you better be ready to show it. So like I have the copyright information in each of my songs, so you'll notice that here. Like I have it here. I just don't
Right.
present it.
Right.
So if someone were to ask me for the copyright information, I would be able to provide it. So
Yeah.
but
Well, and Steve, that does kind of the Facebook conversation takes us into our next topic if we're ready to go there.
yeah, man, let's do it.
Somebody else asked, can you show YouTube videos directly on ProPresenter? And
Ooh.
of course, that question kind of opens up another can of worms,
Hmm.
which is whether or not it's okay to to essentially rip content from YouTube and display it in your church service, on your church service streams, all that stuff.
Yep. Well, man, you the YouTuber in this clan right here. What's your perspective on that? Because you're the one
Yeah,
who
I
does
mean,
YouTube a lot, man.
yeah. So, um, I being kind of kids ministry world, student ministry world, this question comes up a lot, and I think that what we are all understanding is kind of there's several elements of this. First and foremost is YouTube terms of service. It's YouTube usage is intended to be private and not public. So if you're using YouTube content to display to a group of people,
Hmm.
then you're violating those terms of services.
Right.
Um, but also, there's that big question of if you're taking content that people are selling,
Hmm.
if you're ripping it and using it for your church services, whether it's song tracks or mini movies, you're essentially taking a product and you're using it without the permission of the person that created
Absolutely.
um, that product. And it's a question that it's an issue that we talk a lot about within the church visuals
Hmm.
crew,
Yep.
and and all those things, because I think that little question whether or not you can stream directly onto ProPresenter really, if you zoom out, that there's a whole other issue that you're dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a huge issue in churches nowadays, and it's funny to me
Yeah,
because I
right.
was talking with someone recently, and I had never thought about using this argument, so this is the first time I'm really bringing it public. But what is YouTube's? How is YouTube spelled? YOU tube,
Yeah,
not us tube,
right,
not we tube.
right. A church tube.
YouTube, not church tube, not corporate gathering tube. It's YouTube. And so for
Yeah,
me and my kids in my home, watching, worshiping with Yancey videos and worshiping with kids rock videos and worshiping and like that's what it's intended for. It's for my
with
personal home.
Sheik Mozart,
Yeah,
church.
Shake
Yep.
Mozart, like all those artists that are have on
Elon the
track that I'm
donkey. Yep.
using, that I'm playing. That is what it's intended for. But it's not
Right.
intended for me to go and now show that to my whole entire church. And that's the area that right now I know it's the hardest thing because I think it's become so prevalent, so easy that we don't know how to function apart from that.
Right.
And I would say I think the greatest danger. I was asked a lot when I was on staff at a church to cut videos of YouTube clips, and
Hmm.
I hated doing it. And I believe it's wrong. Now here's the thing. I think in our day and age with how much we've done with like memes and stuff, I would
Hmm.
argue that going and pulling the clip of the Bulls entering on the thing from YouTube, while technically may break terms of service, is probably not hurting anyone. It's a news clip. Like we go and put, I mean, shoot, everyone's going and pulling memes and ripping them off of YouTube, and no one's like getting flagged. But the issue is that churches, I think, equate that to like, well, I can go do that, and it doesn't ever get caught, and there's nothing ever said. Well,
Right.
right, that's not hurting an actual physical artist, but the artist who is, Sheik Mozart, yeah,
Hmm.
Doorpost Songs, Yancey Ministries, Seeds Worship. Go to, I mean, shoot, go to the big ones. Even they're putting their content on YouTube to reach people, but that's not an intent to say now go pull that for free and go use it. No, you need to go and secure the
Right.
proper licensing for that with however you choose to do that. So in the church worship world, you go and pay for multi-tracks or song select or
Hmm.
CCLI, and you pay a licensing fee every year to say I have the license to play these songs, to play this, to do this. And it still doesn't cover YouTube. It allows you to play it. If you want to go play the YouTube video, you need to go pull that from the actual source. And then it's even
Hmm.
easier. I think it's easier with children's ministry because children's ministry content is sold everywhere. Like, I mean, there's stuff on our site,
Right.
there's stuff on Worship
Yep.
House Kids. You can go buy the content, and it's $15 per. And so I get it, you got to pay, but
Right.
it's not like you have to buy it every week. You buy it one time.
Hmm.
So go and
Right.
budget. Hey, we need 6 songs a month. Budget 6 songs a month times
Yeah.
$15, $20, and $120 for a year, and we're going to build a library of songs. And then we'll next year only have to buy maybe 1 or 2 songs a month. Um,
Yep.
but instead, what we've done is we say, I don't have the money. I'm not going to spend the money on that. I'm just going to go rip it. And what we've done is we're stealing. We're stealing from
Hmm.
the artists like you, from people like Yancey, from people like Dave Ray, from people who create content for kids and who create content for adult
Right.
ministries. Like that's not okay. And so I think that's where it's like key is like we've missed that, like, it's one thing to go and go watch ProPresenter Power Talks and go rip ProPresenter Power Talks because you want to watch it on your phone. I mean, we ain't gonna
Hmm.
come after you for that. Like,
Hmm.
that's probably it breaks the service agreement, but no one's like losing money out of that, right?
Right.
But you go rip something off of Yancey, she doesn't one or Shake. You go rip something off of that instead of playing it on YouTube in a personal setting, he doesn't get credit for that being played. And then two, if you go and play that in a public setting, now he's losing on the opportunity that it's going to 20 kids, to 30 kids, to 40 kids, and there should be a monetary support for that. So,
Yeah, I had a conversation with Yancey recently about this, and she said something that kind of blew my mind. I asked her, Where do you see kids ministry worship visuals in the next 5 years?"
mm,
And she said, "There's a real possibility that it won't exist, because of all of these videos being ripped, that the money that I get, that this speaking from her perspective, the money that she makes
right.
goes right back into the ministry. So it's possible that if it's less and less, if these songs are getting pirated more and more, the people that are producing it just won't be able
They
to
won't
produce them
produce.
anymore.
Yeah, they won't be able to sustain. And
Right,
it costs
right,
money for us to make a
yeah,
lyric video for someone because
right,
it's
yep,
time that you have to spend editing that video for them. It's time that we have to spend
hmm,
working together to craft it. And so, like, I think that's what people
right,
miss is that there's such a thing behind it. And so YouTube is meant to support, like, the amount of money that people get off of YouTube. I think people think that you get on YouTube and you make millions of dollars on it. That's
right,
only if you make it big. That's only if you're
hmm,
you're you're a record label like Passion and you're getting 24 million hits. I mean, that then
right,
you're probably making some good money. But that's beside the point. The point is it's meant for personal consumption, and YouTube tracks that,
yeah,
and then it disperses payment to people who are playing their content accordingly. But it is not meant for
right,
churches to go in and use that, and so churches and that's even a challenge for us to think about, like how we're using it personally, using content personally in our
hmm,
own home, and
right,
so yeah. We were talking with someone a couple of years ago. Carl and I were about the NFL, like, football game, Super Bowl, and there was
Hmm.
discussion about that and showing that, and those are actually that actually is technically copyrighted, where you're not supposed to present that. And someone I was
Oh
talking to,
wow.
yeah, someone I was talking to about that, and he was mentioning the goal is to be above reproach, and
Hmm.
so he kind of said like you need to go above reproach to try to like throw the flag that you're doing something. And then in the legal world, kind of like with the NFL, especially, he said like we had a hosting party. We were going to show it to 100 people and stream the game. Okay, well we submitted information to the NFL 6 weeks out and said, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's the event. There's going to be about 100 people. We're going to stream it. Here's what happened. And he said they never heard back. And a lot of times with legal situations, if you send the flag, you send the information, and then there's no response, you have a record that you tried to do right
Hmm.
by this entity. And so it was kind of what he said was you can proceed with doing the event, and if there's a problem, they'll reach out to you. And so, like, there was a follow up, I think, one time, and they said, "Hey, we'd like to consider you doing this, or consider charging this amount to play that,
Hmm.
or whatever."
Hmm.
Um, but he said, like, the problem is that we don't even try. We don't even try to go
Yeah.
and make
Right.
the effort to do that. We
Yeah.
just assume that,
Yeah.
well,
And
I can just rip it; it's free, and I'll take care of it. And we don't even try to report what we're doing.
right. And I think it's a similar thing too with artists. I mean, I know there are people that have reached out to me about using my music that they didn't have the budget for it or
Hmm.
whatever. I've sent out stuff for free. I've sent out stuff discounted. you know, um, People who are using this as part of their livelihood, I think across the board, at least everyone that I've talked to want to use it to bless churches,
Yep.
want to use it to connect people to Jesus. Um, there's always ways to work with these artists, work with these companies, um, to make it happen, even if budget is an issue.
So that's where I think like the key for churches to take away is: have you tried to reach out to the artists? Have you
Yeah,
tried?
right.
It's the same thing with the NFL. That's why I kind of brought that up. Is I think trying goes a long way. Trying shows an effort to try to stay within the bounds of what has happened. So,
Sure.
hey, your church can't afford to go buy all of Sheik's music and have it in your library because it'd be $200, and you don't have that much.
Right.
Okay, hey Sheik, I got your number offline. I found you on DM'd you on Facebook. Hey man,
Mhm.
my church, we're just a struggling church, man. We got 20 kids in our ministry. I got like $10 a month that I could
Mhm.
put towards this for
Yeah.
a year. Like, would you help me out? You know, put the
Yeah.
ask and let Shake be
Right.
determine what he wants to do. Same thing with I'm sure I've heard Yancey and Doorpost and a lot of these places. Reach out and ask them. Explain where you're at
Yep.
as a church, and I think that's the one thing I would say to churches, to you as churches, is I don't think we do a good job sometimes of explaining the situation and then also
Mhm.
explaining what can we do. I think sometimes we need to be better about saying, "Hey, my church is a new church plant. My budget is really tight, but I have this amount that I could put towards this. Would you help me?" Don't just go and say, "Hey, I can't afford it." Well, okay. Can you afford something? Like, is there, what
Yeah.
can you afford? So come at it with the approach of like, "Hey, I've looked at my budget. All I can really spend is $15 a month, but I would love to have 3 songs the first Sunday, and I know that each one of your songs
Right.
is $15. Would you help me out?" And maybe there's a way that whoever you're asking that to, whoever that ask is for, they would say, "Hey, it's normally this. I'm willing to help you out. Here's what I can do for you."
Mhm.
And that's
Right.
that's the same thing with us. We do that all the time. Where if a church has a question and there's a budget that we're trying to work in, I'd love to hear that. Tell me what that budget is, and then I mean, if it's just not possible, we'll have that conversation, and you'll have that conversation with an artist. But try to be above reproach and have those conversations and reach out instead of just,
Yeah.
well, it's not. I can't afford it, so therefore I'll just go pull it off YouTube. That's not the answer, you know. So,
Sure. Yeah.
but
Yeah. I
yeah.
love that.
So, and I think that's the thing is just like be trying to be above reproach. I think
Hmm.
I was looking at the multi-track thing this morning. It looks like their big thing right now is they're offering like you don't have to present the information on your streams at all because they've worked it out with the publishers that if you have a subscription through multitracks, then they're reporting and they don't need to see it presented on their streams.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
I
interesting.
think CCLI would still want you to, and I probably should change that to be above reproach, to be honest. But if you are using multitracks, it sounds like multitracks has shifted that with their new plan that they're offering now, that they're pushing. They are
Oh,
offering the
interesting.
ability to like not have to present any copyright information on your streams, and it's reported to based on the files that you pull in for the band to use. They'll report it to the publishers directly. So look into that.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
don't just click on YouTube and assume or click on whatever pirating service we use to pull the video down. And the other thing, one last thing I'd say is in ProPresenter, it's very hard to pull YouTube videos in, and the reason is it's not meant to. Like you can't
Mhm.
just download a YouTube video. Um, One, you have a premium account, so you can download videos, right, Sheik? But it's my
Yeah.
understanding they don't download as like a video file that you can transfer to your computer. They download within
Right.
the app for you to play.
Yeah.
And that's very
Yep.
intentional. Like the reason that is so hard, I don't think people understand. The reason it is so hard to pull videos down from YouTube is they don't want you to. They don't want you
Yeah.
to. So like when you go to download, when I go to rip a Bulls opener video for Pastor 6 years ago, I'm ripping it off of some obscure site, and it's not gonna download a 1080p version. It's gonna download a
Yeah.
360p version, and that's meant because you're not supposed to do that. So
Mm.
the churches that we've talked to that we're doing stuff with, even pastors, as you're making sermon stuff, like try try to go, and if you want to use that, maybe you need to go and look at the person who authored that piece of media and plan out 6 weeks and reach out to that person and ask for the
Mhm.
media from them. Like, I know it stinks. I wish that it was different, but the way to go about it is to not pull stuff in a moment's notice and just rip it because it's not meant for that. Because you're not going to download a full res file because they don't want you to do it, and then
Mhm.
it's not like ProPresenter has an inherent import from YouTube because you're not supposed to do that. So the only way you can get it into ProPresenter is by fudging lines, and that's just the truth of it. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
stay
You're right.
away from it,
And it's the
run
same
from
thing.
it, and
You
if
know, if you needed a chair, you can't. You wouldn't just take a chair from a store.
yeah, yeah, just rip it off, walk out. I need a chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. We've just made it unfortunately so it's become so easy that we don't think of it that way, and we should.
Yeah.
That you're pulling a video
Right.
down, and so yeah, I'm becoming more convicted in my walk with Jesus, and I've had a couple conversations in the last few weeks that are hard because you're seen as the bad guy for throwing it up, but it's like
Yeah.
it's illegal to do that.
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
need to like as churches plan longer out and work to try to work within the bounds of what has been set out and how we go about getting that content. So
Right.
work with artists to get the media, to use the media to get the rights to do that. And if it's pastors' illustrations, then work through proper channels to get that done. With videos and movies, there's actually services you can pay that will give you clips of movies. So if you're using movies, you can do that. If you're trying to pull something else from YouTube, then reach out to the person who did it and say, hey,
Yeah.
I'd like to use this for sermon illustration. Here's the intent. Here's the viewing information. It'll be 200 people in my worship center, and we have 50 people that stream our services live. Would you allow me to have a clip of this to show? That's the way to properly go about it and ask the question and try to do your best to make it happen legally without going and just ripping it the Sunday morning because you didn't think about it until 2 minutes before the service starts. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's a tough topic, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it creates problems. So, yep.
That's
But
true. It creates worship problems.
that's right. So, yep. So thanks to our sponsor again, Worship Probs. Check out Worship Probs and the Worship Karaoke podcast as well. And as always, if you guys have questions about ProPresenter, um, feel free to send those in to ProPresenter at churchvisuals.com. We would love to get those from you and answer those. So today, we just went and got a question off of a user question in the ProPresenter community. If you have a direct question for us that we can cover for you, send that there, and that will spark us to do a ProPresenter talk on that. And if you'd like to come
Right.
on and be one of our guests and have a conversation around ProPresenter in your church, maybe something you're trying to solve, something that God's done in your church that you want to share that that would bless other churches, please let us know as well. ProPresenter at churchvisuals.com, or you can also drop a comment in the video here, or you can reach out to us on our direct messaging, Sheik or myself. And you can also join our Facebook community group, Church Visuals Ministry Leaders, right? Isn't that right, Sheik?
Yeah.
Church
Yep.
Visual
Church
Ministry
Visual
Leaders
Ministry
group.
Leaders. Yep.
So there's a growing group over there. You can also ask questions to Sheik and I in there. We're both moderators on that page, so feel free to reach
Right.
out to us. And so a tough topic today. I hope that you hear a heart that really just want to educate churches in how to handle the different pieces of media that we have in a right way and in a way that honors God and that points to wanting to submit to authority and wanting to serve and to follow methods that
And
love
wanting
our
to do
producers
things
well.
well.
Yeah, and we want to support those who create content for the kingdom
Right.
and not
Yeah.
rob from them. So yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, man. Well, it's Monday afternoon, another
Monday
week.
afternoon. Yep. That's right.
So, man, do you want to pray for people who watch this stream this week and just pray for the
Of
churches maybe
course.
that engage, and then we'll wrap up?
Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. God, thank you so much for us for the opportunity to talk about these things that we love so much about church world and creating experiences where people can connect with you and connect with your story, connect with you through worship. I pray, God, that for everyone that's listening, everybody that's engaged with these topics, that you would bless them and help them and give them all that they need to do what you called and created them to do. It's in your name we pray. Everybody said,
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. I'm grateful for you, brother.
Oh, Steve, I'm grateful for you.
Sweet. Well, Sheik has some videos to edit. He's killing some baller edits, making some
That's
games,
right.
making some logo animations. So we're going to get back to work, but we're grateful for you. If you know someone who wants to join us on Mondays, share this link with those
Yep.
people, and we will see you guys next Monday for another ProPresenter Power Talks.
That's right.